Good morning, everyone. Today, I'd like to share some information regarding fasting, the different types, and of course, the benefits. Now, at this point, intermittent fasting isn't a new concept or really a difficult one to understand. Almost everyone basically understands the concept here, where you basically take in all of your calories for a day within a limited window of time. And the rest of the day, you stick with water or maybe a cup of tea or bone broth, coffee, that type of thing. Now, usually, intermittent fasting is going to be broken down by hours. So let's say something known as the 16-8 fast, which means that you go 16 hours without food and then consume food within an 8-hour window. For example, if you eat between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m., you're on a 16-8 intermittent diet. Now, there's also alternate day fasting where people choose to not eat any food for an entire day every other day. And then there's a hybrid model where you eat normally for one day, and then the next day, maybe you only have one meal, so super low calorie. And then the following day, you're going to go back to eating, your regular diet, and you can alternate back and forth with that. Now, the good news is that all have been shown to offer positive health outcomes. The bad news is that many people actually do it wrong. In cases where intermittent fasting is not working, you'll often find that the reason why is because people tend to overeat during their feeding window. In other words, if someone starts to fast and doesn't eat for 16 hours, and then when they do eat, they tend to actually overeat their caloric requirement, which basically eliminates or nullifies the benefits in the first place. So, all that said, with a little bit of practice, you can certainly get better. And over time, with improved discipline, you should find that you're able to control your hunger cues and you're not overdoing it. And then, of course, you're going to get the benefit. So if you've tried fasting and you didn't see any benefit from it, again, I would really try to take a look at your feeding window and see if there's any sabotage that might have been occurring when you actually started feeding again. Now, I personally practice intermittent fasting a few days a week, and I also practice periodic fasting. Periodic fasting is where you fast 2 to 7 days. And that's basically, no food for 2 to 7 days. It's basically just liquid nutrients, water, bone broth, tea, coffee. And I'll do that every 3 months or quarterly. Now, I do this not only for the health benefits and the physical discipline that it gives my body, but because I believe that my spirit needs to be disciplined and revitalized as well. It is a form of struggle, and I do believe that we do need struggle in our life. And so, again, this is what I do personally. Now, intermittent fasting is when you choose to, again, eat a certain amount of food within a certain time frame. Let's say, again, noon to 6 p.m. Caloric restriction is reducing your calories. Let's say anywhere from 20 to 50% of your caloric intake is reduced from what you'd normally eat. In humans, a 15% caloric reduction has actually been shown to reduce markers or risk factors for a range of health-related diseases. This includes diabetes, glucose dysregulation, hormone imbalances, cancer, cardiovascular disease, but it also can cause some side effects when it's applied chronically. So again, you've got to be watching out for this. This means that you don't want to do caloric restriction for too long. I often prescribe and recommend modified fasts because of their ability to help and repair or reset the digestive system. A modified fast is basically a liquid-only fast where you consume nothing but liquids, water, coffee, tea, bone broth, vegetable broth, as long as it's all coming from a healthy source. Now, think of it like this. If you sprained your ankle or you injured your back and you had to run 3 miles every day, how long do you think it would take for your ankle or your back to heal? Likely it's going to take a while because you're never really giving it any rest. Now, this same concept applies to the gut. if you've got gut dysfunctions or a gut injury or inflammation that you're dealing with, or a potential infection, and you're eating 3 times a day, it's going to be very hard for the gut to heal because your gut is constantly having to digest the food as well as deal with the dysfunction that it's dealing with. So remember, your digestive system has, let's say, 2 primary functions. Number 1 is to digest, absorb, and assimilate nutrients. And then number 2 is the fact that it houses your immune system. Approximately 80% of your immune cells live within your digestive tract. So when we stop making our digestive system work so hard because, of having to digest food, we then allow it to repair itself. And this also means that it's able to direct energy towards immune function and not both, right? Not digestion and immune function. So over the years, and having worked with so many digestive conditions with patients, I found that a modified fast is a great way or a great thing to incorporate before protocols, because I found that it results in better treatment outcomes. And for this reason, I tend to suggest a modified fast before starting any gut healing protocol. Again, just simply from observation, from what I've personally seen in pre and post testing with patients. But fasting is not simply beneficial for digestive issues. A new study published in Nature Communications just at the end of last month, on the 30th of March. This study was called "Fasting Alters the Gut Microbiome, Reducing Blood Pressure and Body Weight in Metabolic Syndrome Patients." What's metabolic syndrome? Metabolic syndrome is basically somebody that has high triglycerides, high cholesterol, lots of inflammation, high insulin or glucose imbalances. If they're overweight, this is basically metabolic syndrome. And this study found that fasting before starting any health protocol or dietary intervention seemed to enhance the effects of that particular diet. So we're not talking about digestive issues or anything like that. This is literally just incorporating any particular diet as an intervention. Fasting before that diet found to enhance the benefits of that diet. How cool is that? In other words, we know that switching to a healthy diet has a positive effect on blood pressure. But if the diet is preceded by a fast, this effect was intensified. There's specific diets that help to reverse type 2 diabetes. There's diets that are very beneficial for autoimmune patients. What they found, again, is that by incorporating a fast before that diet, it enhanced the benefits. The researchers confirmed this by finding it with all sorts of diets, and this included paleo, Mediterranean, the DASH diet. Basically, the researchers used stool samples to examine the effects of the fast on the gut microbiome. And as I've said previously, and as you may know, the bacteria in our gut play a major role in nutrient absorption, nutrient production, hormone regulation, and immune function. Some strains of bacteria metabolize dietary fiber into anti-inflammatory short-chain fatty acids that in turn benefit the immune system. Again, these bacteria take the food that you eat, they feed off of this food, they metabolize it, they basically poop out anti-inflammatory molecules that in turn go and help your body. Again, super cool. The researchers also found that the composition of the gut bacteria, the ecosystem, right? All the different diverse bacteria within your gut, all these organisms change dramatically during fasting. And they found that an increase in these health promoting bacteria in turn helped to reduce blood pressure, helped to regulate blood glucose and hormone production, and even neuropeptides that impact your brain chemistry. They found that an increase in bacteria helped to metabolize and break down fat, so lipolysis, of your lipids. Now, these changes have demonstrated to be short-lived, meaning you'll see changes when you fast and then it can tend to go away. But this new research also showed that some of these changes remained even after resuming a normal intake of food. The following excerpt from the article is noteworthy. Body mass index, blood pressure, and the need for antihypertensive blood pressure lowering medication remained lower in the long term among volunteers who started their diet with a 5-day fast. So again, these people basically what they did is they did a modified fast for 5 days. They drank water, coffee, tea, bone broth for 5 days before starting their intervention. And what they found is that compared to people who didn't do that, when they, when they started their intervention, that those who fasted had benefits that outlasted those people who didn't do the fast. So that was basically the only difference there. Now, all that said, there are certainly instances where fasting is not beneficial and may cause more harm than good. My list of people that need to watch out, when it comes to fasting, this includes pregnant women, people with HPA or stress hormone dysfunction, people with severe hypothyroidism. Of course, anyone with an eating disorder, you've got to be careful with, playing around with meal timing, and then children. Now, if you're going to incorporate fasting, I would suggest starting off with a 14 to 16 hour fast 2 times a week. Again, this means that all food is going to be consumed within an 8-hour window. Let's say from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Basically, you're skipping breakfast, right? Or you're only eating food within, a certain specific time frame. Again, about 8 hours. Of course, you can progress yourself to 16-hour fasts every day of the week as you become accustomed to it. Now, if you feel good and you tolerate fasting very well, then consider a periodic fast where you're going to stop all intake of bulky food for 2 to 3 days. And again, if you find that you can tolerate this, maybe challenge yourself to a 3 to 7 day fast. So you kind of begin to create, you add on to the challenge, right? At the end of the day, it's important to listen to your body and only fast on days when you really feel up to it. You must take other life stressors into account and recognize that intermittent fasting, while beneficial, is actually a form of stress on your body. So when background levels of stress are low to moderate, it's going to be beneficial. But when they're high, when you have, a lot of stress or you've got some kind of heavy, problem going on, if you've got a lot of fires to put out, maybe it's not the best thing to be doing. So again, you've really got to assess your situation. Now, the favorable impact of fasting followed by a species appropriate diet or a whole foods diet during refeeding phases demonstrates that non-pharmacological intervention for the treatment of blood pressure, metabolic syndrome, so again, glucose dysregulation, cholesterol issues, all of that is absolutely possible. Now, I believe this is a powerful reminder that our body has an amazing ability to heal when we give it a chance. And so again, I just want to repeat this, is that this is a non-pharmacological intervention that is shown to be significant. It impacts people with blood pressure problems, cholesterol problems, reversing type 2 diabetes, right? Which is just all amazing. As always, happy Friday, happy Good Friday, and please go do good things today.